All right, so motion tracking text to objects. Hang on a minute, I'm still wearing the same t-shirt as I was in the subtitle video. Yeah, I don't want you guys to know that I recorded this one at the same time as that, so I'm just gonna go change. Sweet. What's up guys, I'm a sarcastic Brit and welcome back to another 80% editing video. Today we're gonna be looking at motion tracking text onto objects in the gaming world. This is, I said this the past 2 times, this is definitely up there in like the top things that people ask me. I recently edited a clip for my friend Steve where I put a little like loading bar above like a dude's head that was hiding in a bush, and as he runs past it, the loading bar stays fixed above the bush and it looks really cool, and loads of people saw it and were like, can you teach me how to do that? So I'm about to teach you how to do that. It's a really sick technique. It requires you to understand how keyframing works in Premiere Pro. Once I teach you how keyframing works in Premiere Pro, you can apply this to anything, like an image, you can apply it to text, you can apply it to people, like you can apply what I'm about to teach you to a whole host of things, including just putting text above someone's head or putting an image somewhere and making it fly across the screen. There's tons of stuff you can do with this. So let's turn around, stick the computer on, and we'll dive into it. Okay, so in order for you guys to begin with motion tracking text or objects or GIFs or anything in a particular place that moves from A to B, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is get your clip all set up and get everything ready to rock and roll. If you don't know how to do that, link to my quick start guide is going to be in the description down below for you. So just run through that, it'll take you about 15-20 minutes. Get you set up, get you kicking ass already. So what we've got here is we've got a clip that was in a recent highlight video from Pestily. There's a guy with a 308 Lapua Magnum trying to blow his head off. Let's just watch the clip for context. And naturally he gets smashed. This is just the way it is. What we want to try and do here is in the second half of this 10-second clip, we want to put the words ceasefire ? Above this dude's head, as if he knows he's going to die. He knows he's going to get smashed. So what we really want to be doing is we want to be looking at motion tracking from about here. Ceasefire above his head, and then he dies and it goes away. So this is a really good example for me to give you. There's a couple of different things that you're going to want to know about motion tracking. In order to understand motion tracking, you have to understand keyframing. Now, there are a load of different ways to do it in loads of different pieces of software. Some pieces of software will physically let you pick an anchor point that the text or the item or whatever it is will follow using some AI. The best way to do it in Premiere Pro is to keyframe it in. So firstly, in my subtitles video, I did a very brief explanation as to keyframing with scale and how keyframing just adds animation to entities within Premiere Pro by setting different variables, and then the computer will move between those variables. So what I mean by that is, if we add some text here on screen, let's just put ceasefire in. We're just going to change this to the usual Montserrat black, and we're going to go ahead and give it a couple of mil stroke. Ceasefire ? If you want to know how to sort of get to this point and get all the text and everything set up, watch my subtitles video. That's going to teach you enough about text to get you going. And then as I banged on about in that video, we're going to center align it. So firstly, let me just show you what keyframes are. So on the transform on your effects control panel, you've got these different values for your text. Your position, scale, rotation, opacity, anchor point. It's all very straightforward as to what it is. Anchor point, probably not so much. That is this little circle, which you can see here. And essentially that's just saying this is the point that we're referring to when it comes to moving things. Where does it increase in size? So in the middle, if you increase it in size, it will increase from that anchor point. But if you move that anchor point over to the bottom left-hand corner, when you scale it up, it will scale away from that bottom left-hand corner. So we're just going to undo that. And I'm going to just give you a very brief shot as to how keyframes work. So if I put the text on the left of the screen and I click toggle animation, I'm going to highlight that blue. The add remove keyframe button is going to highlight blue, and it's going to add one keyframe to the point where we started it. Now, if I move this clip forwards, let me just increase the size of the text area that we have. If I move this frame forwards and I move the text to the other side of the screen, you'll see that it's made a second keyframe. The reason why it's automatically done it is because Premiere Pro knows, by us toggling this blue stopwatch icon, that we want it to add keyframes whenever we move things. Now, what it's done is it's not just going to snap from left to right. It's smart. It uses pathing. It says, right, well, at this point it's here, and then at this point it's there. So we need to move it in between the two. So what you'll find is, over the distance between those keyframes, the text moves just like that. The text will move on its own in between those two. And you're thinking, sweet, cool. I just need to put that above the dude's head, and then where he dies, and then that's it, done. In some situations that will work. But the issue that we have here, which you'll see, because I'll show you, if we start the ceasefire text here and we end it when he dies, which is about here, let's just do it there. So the text, let's just move this to here. Let's shrink this down a little bit because that's just eccentric. Let's pop that there. And then when he dies, he's here. Now, if I play this, see how that doesn't really track above his head? It kind of does its own thing. That's because it's not tracking this guy's head. It's going from point A that we told it to point B that we told it to in the time that we gave it between the two keyframes. So again, if you look here over at the effects control panel, between these two diamonds, between these two keyframes, it's saying I need you to get from there to there in that time. And that doesn't account for this dude's head, right? So the best way to do it, it's quite long-winded and it requires some patience and some tuning and a bit of fiddling, but it is to reposition the text frame by frame. This is going to allow it to be smooth. This is going to allow it to fix exactly onto the point. And if at any point it is out of line, you just need to find that particular frame where it's out of line and kick it back into line. So what I mean by this is I'm just going to get rid of the keyframes here. That just deletes everything. If you click that again, it will delete the keyframes, and I'm going to start again. Now, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. You can press right on your keyboard and it will move you through the frames. So long as you've got the text selected, it will move you through the frames. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select ceasefire. So it's got this little blue box around it. And if you see the anchor point in the middle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to track that onto the highest point of this guy's bag. So I'm going to move it to there. Then I'm going to go forward a frame. Nothing happens. Forward another frame. Everything goes out of line. Put that back above his bag. Forward another frame. Put that back above his bag. And this is the process that I will follow to track an object or text or whatever needs to be tracked above someone's head or onto something. Now, very, very pro tip, maybe 2 pro tips. You need to be careful that you don't click on any of these markers that have been left behind. Those are actually the keyframes. Those are the positions that the anchor point is going to lock into on Premiere Pro. And those are the positions that it needs to go to. If you mess with those, it will mess with them. So try and stay away from selecting those as best as you can. And if you get a little bit stuck because what you're working with is quite small, my advice is make it bigger and then do your keyframing using the anchor point as your point of reference. And then once you're finished, you can just scale it back down. So we'll do this really big so you can see, and I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. going frame by frame. So right on the arrow keys, and then just positioning it with the mouse. The way it works sometimes as well is that every frame isn't always a movement. Sometimes you'll go forward a frame and you'll catch the game in between frames, like this one here, and then we'll go again and it'll do that. So we're about 60% of the way through, and I'm actually doing this quite quick. The first time you do this, you're gonna make a bit of a mess here. But essentially we're just moving. And if you look at the effects control panel, if we stop really quickly and we have a quick look at the effects control panel, you're gonna see we have a hell of a lot more keyframes. Every single one of those keyframes is where we've told the text that it needs to be in that frame. And then Premiere Pro is gonna use its smart AI, lovely buzzword there from Silicon Valley, to make the movement between them and just generally make it a lot smoother. So we're nearly finished. He's dying, he's dead, the text is gone. Now if we watch this back, let's just scale this back down. Like I said, fun little cheat code. Scale this down. Now if we watch this back, this is how it looks. Considerably better than it did the first time, but considerably better than maybe not having anything there. I've done this before with objects. I'll put a clip up on screen right now of a clip that I edited of my buddy Steve. There was a guy in the plant pot and I put the little like buffering icon above his head. And all I did with that is the exact same technique here, but I took that item, that opaque loading wheel, and I put that above the dude's head in the plant pot, and frame by frame, I positioned it so it was in the exact same spot on the plant pot as best I could. You're not always gonna be able to be 100% accurate with this stuff, but I tell you what, it's better to be just a little bit out than maybe not have it, because stuff like this is where you're gonna really start to up your game. This is a slightly more advanced technique, but actually it's not that difficult once you get some practice in. So once you've finished and you click back onto your text or your object and you look at your position, or if it's you've done something with scaling where something gets larger and smaller over time, or if you've done something with rotation where something spins over time, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're doing it frame by frame, you're going to end up with just this chaos, this absolute chaos. Before anyone in the comments says about linear keyframes, I'll do a whole different video on keyframes and different kind of keyframes and motion graphics and stuff like that. It will involve using some After Effects. It'll involve using some Premiere Pro. It's a whole different conversation. It's like advanced keyframing. But when it comes to content like this, you just move it and you keyframe it and just follow this guide and you'll be absolutely fine. I'm going to send you back over to the big face and I'll sing you out the video. Oh, that was a lot of information. That was a lot of information. So I know I just overloaded you guys with a ton of stuff, but watch it back. Go through it step by step and practice taking the image or taking the text and keyframing it. You don't have to do it frame by frame, like I said. I tend to do it frame by frame because it just looks that bit smoother and it's worth the effort. And now that you're starting to do this stuff, you're probably now starting to understand why there's a need for guys like me in the industry that literally do this as the job, like all day, because we might not keyframe everything, but you know, some stuff it requires that real fine intricacies. The best thing about this technique is that, like I said before, you can apply it to so many different things. Experiment with it. Go and make some really bad content, okay? Go and make really bad content with things keyframed on the screen, flying around, stuff stuck to people's heads. Like, just play with it, watch it back and think, oh, I could probably tighten that up a little bit, and then work on tightening it up. And just just play with it. Just go and have some fun. This is fun. This is fun. Remember, if you guys want to support the growth of the channel, to hit the like button, leave me a comment in the section down below to let me know what videos you want to see me making, or what do you need help with? What do you want to know? You got a question that you want me to ask? The next videos that we're going to launch up on this channel are going to be to do with how to grow your business a little bit more in the editing world. There's going to be more tutorials on Premiere Pro. There's going to be tons more stuff. So if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you will not miss a beat. You will get a ping every time one of these drops onto the timeline. My socials are in the description as well. If you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free to. I love to talk to people. And you can slide into my DMs if you want. And if I see it, I might reply. Twitter's not very good at letting me know when people message me. Look after yourself as always. Take care, be courteous and considerate of every single other person out in the world, because they're probably also having a shit time as well. Look after yourselves, and I will see you guys next time. I'm gonna go and put my other t-shirt back on now, because this one's clean. And that one I've been wearing all day.